If there is anyone who knows me back in Pittsburgh who meant well by me, you might want to look this over from the point of view of Jimmy having been worked over really, really badly by King Crimson and Oliver Stone. Okay, there's a lot to discuss here. Um, International cooperation has lots of double meanings. It's a double-edged sword. When the leapfrog oligarchs poach together from behind the scenes, making deals while their media conscriptors put up fronts, it's very tangible that Oliver Stone worked with. Um, I need to get a hearing aid battery. Sorry, I'm deaf. I need a hearing aid battery. I don't need to tell you twice. I know you're patient. Oliver Stone is a media specialist. He can put up a front working behind the revolving bookshelf. You know what I'm saying? With the leapfrog oligarchs, of course, international cooperation has another side, which is more often subverted by the U.S. climate than the Russians. But I would seem, at least, that's the International Court of Law, Court of Criminal Law, where the war criminals are going to be tried, including Joseph Biden. If we ever get it together to have us get Hollywood Nazis and their double cross out, turn on the Beatles, who deserve it richly, and put together a synthesis, even with the comedians, of entertainment and education. So I know I've lost. I'm just talking when nobody turns on the Beatles. Okay, so this is called The Greeks Were Here First, and that's just a little bit of levity. Hollywood genocide calculus is the function of ecocide in Revolution Number 9. Hollywood genocide calculus. They let it go. They were playing songs like Flame Over Africa and covers of Yoko Ono. The table talks of Adolf Hitler, he'd sit around with his buddies and discuss the nature of reality. Old Hitler, discuss the nature of reality. And Bowie tuned into this and put their plan for genocide on Diamond Dogs. Okay, so we have a number of phenomenon tracing back to the 80s that people who are alive at my age will want to reflect on if they're honest and sincere people, in addition to the easily identified cosmopolitan identity politics involved in the assimilation of the civil rights movement demands by Revolution Number 9 after the Beatles killed Kennedy and Martin Luther King and then made off with the payola by pretending in London's Houdini. And the two troubling semiotic system that I have found in Hollywood, which is the escape of Adolf Hitler. As you may remember, multinational cinema have this encrypted super story in the background, film more American, British post-war film, some German pre-war film, and going back to the age of D.W. Griffith, Charlie Chaplin, Fayum D'Annunzio, and Luigi Freddi, when Bly Sanders was conniving with Walt Disney, Sergei Eisenstein, Pablo Picasso. You have the cinema system, semiotic functions which were the escape of Adolf Hitler, Two Virgins Pussy Ball Clock to the AIDS attack, the murder of JFK over Hiroshima, and London's Houdini. And if you want to go further enough, you get the pornographic genocide encryption of the Texas school book, because of course it was Carousel Club where Jack Ruby was a pimp joint with the help of the police department, strong arming women into sex work. So Trump's Cirque du Imbecile, Cirque du Soleil system was basically all about the women. The Beatles killed Kennedy to take the women. Lovely Rita Greta Maid, they came collecting for the final accounting of Pope Carl. That was somber, it's a practical joke with the help of the Russian Orthodox Church. Very somber. Um, Final accounting where they tabulated the sex acts and said, whoosh, come a collecting from Maduro Goto and at the strong arm of Migno Wen and her diabolical Yoko Ono crowd. So you see that the 80s saw this coming on when Foucault, who was a sadistic suicide artist who made a laugh of torture by taking AIDS himself for degradation of the spirit, he met with the Ayatollah Committee. What's he meeting with the Ayatollah Committee? For 44 days, they held the hostages for Reagan. My name is Jimmy C. Remember, Jimmy C. was president too, so it's an index system that's going on. They recruited the Negroes with names like Davis for Jefferson Davis and Dixon for Mason Dixon, flipping things all over North style. So you have this fundamentalist tripartite system that fell into play with Iran selling Exocet missiles to Israel, or Israel selling them to Iran to funnel money to mine the harbors of poor people who were trying to put together public education in Nicaragua, where Roberto Clemente died. So don't buy this stuff that Rosa Clemente represents Roberto Clemente. He would never have done anything to my darling Dep Genie, and he certainly didn't stand for the mining of Nicaraguan harbors. The Green Party is a sadistic farce. So but they played this game of sex pussy ball, two versions of sex pussy ball, and West came bragging of his gangsterism. Then they mutilated me. That's one last thing that went on with this crowd was they ciphered mutilation, like they earmarked me for extermination. Nobody cares because it's symbolic, right? It's the white, and it's all coming from Trumpington's mind with so when you talk about the heaviosity of my earliest girlfriends took care of their own bodies, and they were my age. We were the same age. I mean, there was none of this you know going underage as an adult stuff going on whatsoever. You had girls who could take care of their bodies when they were 16 or 17 years old, but you have this heaviosity and these perfumes and these gargoyles and these Balrogs. He was a vampire, and it's clocked to names like Drax Singer, Dracula Singer, Dravo. Drax Rock's roast beef is like Arby's RB roast beef sandwich. Get it? They put together these kinds of things and called it a barbecue, where they signified and they used Carrie. Right to the end, when ruthless Ruth Ginsburg died, and she cut that poor woman in half with the scene from The Omen, the elevator, and cut that woman, Carrie, in half. They used Carrie for Viktor Frankl's theory of logotherapy all through the business about Penis Gabriel's thigh. They were using my poetry to bomb Jackson Labs and so on. So it's, the holy goyim of Twisted Louie's hot wiring job, or Putin and Mick Jagger. That's where the joke comes from. They're hot boys with lots of women. Putin and Mick Jagger are going to preach morality to the Pittsburgh public school system. Talk about a practical joke. And the ROC, the Royal Russian Orthodox Church, has this dude, a Zionist named Wattenmaker. You see the Van de Graaff generators, Frankenstein lore, who gives me a white phosphorus window pane to change the enemy within. Change the personality of the little Jimmy Queer boy, naive idealist. The liberal, who's into heavy petting. He was imitating Mick Jagger, they say. They did it to Mackenzie Shirilla. They gaslit her. They were experts at it. She stepped on the gas. They gaslit her. All the evidence shows they tampered with her. She was a victim. There was a car bombing by these perverts. So they use this kind of ciphering system throughout their soleil, they call it. So people who are smart enough to understand imagine themselves the beneficiaries. Gee, we're smart, we can understand. So, we understand capital without responsibility is in the silver screen of Zionism, because it's all this Hollywood exploitation of trust. They just see reality as a synthetic, and they go out to make genocide like Hollywood magic. To them, genocide is just one more crime. I mean, what can you do about it, right? There's nothing you can do about it. So, they use things like COVID to trace back to Ovid, the magical Greek, mythology, romance, because they're going to metamorphose me and remember that Schwarzenegger's his name may be swore at the distinguished race, and that's fighting words, but they're still real flesh and blood, and they're still innocent, right? Because he conjured Greta Thunberg for Great Britain's. So what we see, although it's very pretty when Penis J. Sinfield sings Reels of Dreams on Roll, you can see that it's a concept of backstabbery and Hitler revenge grip, because they see synthetic. They see the world as synthetic, plastic reality. If Hollywood magic can convince you of something, then it automatically becomes true. If they can say no, and they have this idea of courtship and Puritanism. Puritan and Jagger are selling this stuff with Oliver Stone. Courtship and Puritan. The illegal immigrants betrayed the first lady, so Kennedy was zapped right between the eyes. Zap! And the poachers, Clint Hill and Clint Eastwood, and Charles Bronson made off with the first lady. They rescued her from the queer ball JFK. And this is the story that they're selling. Capitalism with responsibility would be a hoot, wouldn't it? So, no light bulb hats at the powwow, and no women in the sumo circle. This is between me and Donald Trump. We're going to have to take this silver screen Zionism to peer review. How's that sound? Puritan and Jagger? Well, between me and Toon, we'll take this Hollywood Zionism to peer review. How's that sound?